This is from the book The Light Shall Set You Free by Norma Manalovitch. And this is the chapter called The Law of Polarity. To destroy an undesirable rate of mental vibration, put into operation the principle of polarity and concentrate upon the opposite pole to that which you desire to suppress. Kill out the undesirable by changing its polarity. And that is from the Kabbalion. The law of polarity states that everything is dual, that there are two poles of opposites to everything found on the physical, mental, or spiritual plane. Polarity is the difference in dimension of direction, and it represents the two extremes of one thing. In the physical world, there is no summer without winter. In the mental world, there is no structure without freedom. And in the spiritual world, there is no good without bad. In each instant, both of the poles have meaning. The law of polarity considers an object or condition in itself as unrelated to other objects or conditions. Thus, love cannot be related to winter on a continuum because these conditions are on different planes or refer to different classes or objects or relationships. When we consider these conditions or objects found on the same continuum, we soon realize that there are no absolutes. When does water move from hot to cold, or when does summer become winter? Opposites are two extremes of the same thing. The difference is simply the degree to which we perceive either pole as being on the same continuum. If two poles are degrees of the same thing, then we have the power to move from one extreme to the other. We may dislike some individuals strongly, and then, when we come to know those persons, feel compassion or love for them. We may dislike the discipline or exercise, but over time learn to look forward to the high of working out. Or we may think we cannot do without certain food items, and then learn to dislike these same foods. These are examples of how we use the law of polarity on ourselves by moving from one extreme to another. Using this law is part of the discipline we need to change our lives. What may be even more surprising, however, is that we can influence others in positive ways. When we dislike others, we can visualize them as being good and put violet light around them. We then may find that these persons have changed in some ways, and we may even learn to like or love them. Thus, we have the power to change our own feelings, and often the feelings and behaviors of others. El Morya describes the law of polarity and the celestial hierarchy's views of what the law does for humanity. Greetings, O sisters and brothers of the stars. I, El Morya, come forth today to transmit the message on the law of polarity. I deliver these words as a representative of the Council of Light from Lyra, and as the designated ambassador for the Tribunal Council of the Galactic Command. These councils pay tribute to the law of polarity because it is through the operations of this law that their work is deemed successful. The law of polarity designates that everything has opposites, and opposites are the same. They only differ in degrees. What is considered truth for one is the half-truth for another. In all things there exists duality, which comprises the nature of the universe. If opposites are really the same, then it is reasonable to conclude that love and hate are but two extremes of the same emotion, residing on the same continuum. The differences between these two reactions lie in the degree of emotion expressed. The same holds true for concepts such as hot and cold or good and evil. Where does love begin and hate stop? Where does hot begin and cold stop? The answer resides not in a point on the scale, but in the degree of the mental and emotional attitude of the individual in any moment of time. For the average student on the spiritual path, this law provides the power and keys for understanding transformation. Since all things contain the principle of polarity within them, then all things can be changed. The way things are changed is by directing the charge of energy along the continuum that resides between the two polarities. It is that simple. The power of the mind, which controls the emotions, is the key to understanding that all things can be changed. The first step in change is choosing to do so. Humans possess 8 etheric bodies and 1 physical body. 4 of these bodies are better understood and therefore used more than the others. These are the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies. In the universe, there are 3 primary planes of existence. The physical, which is the lowest, densest plane of matter. The mental, which comprises the mental and emotional bodies. And the spiritual, which includes the etheric and spiritual essences of the higher planes. The physical plane includes the physical body. The mental plane includes the mental and emotional bodies, and the spiritual plane includes the higher etheric bodies and encompasses the soul and higher self. Polarities exist on each of these planes of existence. Yet the polarities within everything that resides on each plane cannot be crossed between the planes. That is because the vibrational frequencies residing within each of these planes are distinct unto themselves. For example, one cannot turn love into cold or heat into evil. Therefore, each thing must be analyzed for its own essence and being. Each reaction emitted, then, must be analyzed for the frequency that it contains, and a decision can be made to change the behavior to either a higher or a lower one. This is possible because all things reside on a continuum. The power of the law of polarity comes from this understanding, for this knowledge gives the individual the foundation for choosing other responses. The universe, through the law of cause and effect, will return whatever behavior is emitted from the source. If a lower behavior is sent, then the individual can expect events in his or her life to come around that will deliver a similar package of events or experiences. Knowing that all reactions and emotions reside on a continuum aids the individual to achieve higher states of consciousness and to evolve. Nature is set up for all to evolve. That is the secret of life, to life, and to understanding the laws. Humans are to continue to raise their vibrations through the power of thoughts, the mind, emotions, and actions. This is accomplished through choice. The key to mastering the law of polarity lies in one's ability to stay balanced, focused, and detached from the world and things around. Extreme reactions most assuredly bring returns that match the emotions and the behaviors emitted. Balance is the key to success. Never forget this, and this law shall come to serve you and raise your vibrations unto the divines. Thank you for this opportunity to deliver the message of power on behalf of the Council of Light from Lyra and the Tribunal Council of the Galactic Command. I bid you farewell for a brief moment in time. Adonai, I am El Morai. Summary. The law of polarity expresses that we can change ourselves and even change others. We may do this in unconscious ways as we learn and experience new things or the same things in new ways. Or we may use the law consciously to bring about change in ourselves and others. Some of the key understandings of this law are as follows. There are 2 poles or opposites to things or conditions found on the physical, mental, and spiritual planes. Polarity is the difference between the 2 extremes of one thing. There are no absolutes of difference between the extremes or poles of any one thing. Rather, there are degrees of difference. When we choose to change, we can change our attitudes or behaviors on the continuum of extremes when we choose to do so. We can change the behavior of others by raising our vibrations. Mastery is the law of polarity. Mastery or the law of the law of polarity requires learning how to maintain balance, focus, and detachment from the distractions of the material world. And the next law I will read will be the law of rhythm. And this is the Dove Lady over and out for now.